Hi guys, Raindal here. Today's our first video about Nier Reincarnation. I've been playing it since launch, but I wanted to take some time to actually understand the game mechanics and be sure that whatever I end up sharing with you guys is accurate. So today we'll take a look at the weapon system, how exactly it works. I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of testing, and people say like you should equip greatswords on a greatsword user and you should use the right element, but not necessarily what exactly this has in numbers. So we'll take a look at the exact numbers and then how to optimize your weapons with that knowledge in mind. So let's go. So, for the sake of looking at what an item gives you in terms of stats, we'll begin by taking a look at A2, who is right here. We're taking a unit that I have not leveled, so it's going to be a lot easier to see what impact the items we bring in. So, we have a total of 180 attacks so far. If I equip her with a greatsword in her main item slot, she is going to gain 100% of that item's stats. So if we look at, for example, at this one, 137 plus the 180 we originally had, we have 317 attack. That's the expected outcome. We gain all the stats the item would give us. If we instead try to equip an item that is not the right type, like this staff right here, you can see that the staff should normally give us 50, so 180, our base, plus 50 should be 230. Instead, we are sitting at 205, so we're getting only half the stats from the staff right here, so it's a lot less benefits than if you're equipping the right type. So that's the first reason. You always want to equip a greatsword, because otherwise you're losing out on half your item's stats. Let's go ahead and equip this so we can look at secondary items. And secondary items are really interesting. You still want to equip the right weapon type, because if you don't, you're losing, again, half your stats. But any item you equip in your secondary slot only gives you half the attack. So here again, we're going from 205 to 273. This weapon should give us 137, so we're only gaining roughly 62 or so, right? We are getting half this weapon's value because it's in a secondary slot. Same thing here. If we were to equip a staff instead, that should give us 57. We are actually only gaining 14 because we're gaining 1/4, like half because it's in a secondary slot, and then half again because it's not the right type. So it's super important to equip your unit with the right type of item in all three slots. That's going to greatly increase the amount of stats you actually gain from your items. And then when choosing your items, there's one more thing to keep in mind that's actually pretty impactful, and it's weapon passives. So when you equip a weapon in your primary slot, you gain access to its active abilities and also its passives. But when you equip a weapon in your secondary slot, you still gain access to all the passives, which is really impactful. So right now, we have 273 attack. Let's look at this gun that has 100 attack. We're supposed to gain 1/4 of that, right? Because it's a gun and it's in our secondary slot. So we should be only gaining 25. But if you look at it when we click, we're going to be at 310 attack. So we are gaining 27 attack. Now, a very small difference. But what that 2 points of attack is the Vigor passive that this gun has, that increases our attack by 4.6%. So when you walk into a fight, you need to look at all your secondary weapons passives as well, because they are going to apply to your stats. If you have an item that gives you defense and you don't need defense, well, maybe you should switch to another one that brings a more offensive passive, for example. So these are all things to consider. Now that we've seen all that, let's take a look at weapons and how to actually upgrade them. Okay, so let's jump in the Enhance menu for weapons. Now, when I pick up a new weapon from a 4-star unit that I just pulled, the max level for the weapon is 60, which is kind of funny because the max level for a unit that you just pulled is 70, and they have the same cap of level 90, and they increase every time you awaken them by 5. So where are the 10 lost levels? That was one question I had that it took me a long while to find an answer to, but it's actually pretty simple. So if you look at the weapons right here and go into the Evolve tab, it's going to take you some gems. As you can see, I spent all day farming these gems right here, and when you evolve the weapon, you can do that only once for every single piece of gear, so you don't need to do it many times, and when you do it, you get a couple different benefits. The first one is 10 extra max levels. So these are your 10 missing max levels. If you have a level 80 weapon and you're wondering how to get those, just farm those gems, evolve your weapon, and you'll get those 10 extra levels. Then, of course, you get a bunch of stats, which is really good, and you unlock the weapon's secondary passive. So as we just talked about, passives will apply even if they're in secondary slots, so you may want to make sure that you evolve every single weapon you're going to use, because it unlocks a ton of stats and an extra passive for you to use. So that's super impactful. Then about the other ways you can improve your weapon, well, you can enhance. That's pretty simple. You use weapon enhancement materials, and it increases the level right here. So that's how it's going to work. One thing that I found very interesting is the gold cost is the same no matter which type of item you're using. So if you want to save on gold and you're on a budget, you are better to use XL or very large weapon enhancement than smaller ones. So for example, if I use one of this, it costs me 50. If I use one of these, it also costs me 50. But these give me, I don't know exactly how much experience. We should see this right here, huh? So these give me 1,000 a go. These give me a lot less. So because of that difference, it is much more worth it in terms of gold to just use your larger materials, unless you really need the levels right now. Then skills can be upgraded. If you want to get these, you just need to do the daily quest. It's going to give you some materials. I will take a look at the quests right afterwards, but you should also upgrade your skills. Again, for your primary weapon, you want the active skills in priority. I think they are very impactful, but for the weapons that you're never going to put in your primary slot, you probably want to focus on leveling your passives first, because these are going to apply no matter if it's, as long as it's equipped, you're getting the passives. Then finally, you can ascend weapons. There are two ways to do that. You can use up dupes, which I unfortunately don't have for all weapons, and you probably don't, or you can use these black pearls. Now, these are going to be available in event shops mainly, or as rewards for some things in the future. So far, we don't have access to a lot, so I recommend you wait or use it when you really need the power-up to clear some new content. In my case, I'm saving it for when I really realize that I need a weapon in order to clear something. So that's it for the weapon menu. It's fairly simple, just don't forget the importance of evolution. And now you might be wondering, where do you get all these materials to level skills, enhance, and potentially ascend? Well, it's really in the quest section. There are two ways to level your items. If all you need is experience to enhance your weapon, you should do the Guerrilla quest. They give a ton of these, and it's the most energy efficient ratio. So you're going to be getting a ton of weapon enhancement materials. If you also need to level your item or evolve them using the gems, you should instead do the daily quests. So today, I was getting some of these materials. I was also getting these gems that are necessary for enhancing, and these materials right here that are going to be useful for leveling skills. I was pretty lucky since I was leveling light greatsword. I was getting something for the greatsword skills and also the gem for light weapons. But these are mix and match every day, so you might end up farming materials for evolving and maybe not getting the skills, the materials for the skills of your weapon. Over time though, as you will probably want to level every single type of item, I don't think it's a waste to ever do them. So that was it, guys. I don't want to keep this too long. It's a first video. Have you enjoyed it? Are you guys playing Nier? I know I mainly focus on War of the Visions content usually, but yeah, just give me some kind of feedback on whether this is a welcome video or not. And then thank you so much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.